Hi, my name is Jimmy. Going to do a preview now of the Test series coming up between Sri Lanka and England. In England, and this is a pretty interesting series. It's particularly interesting, I guess, as a curtain raiser for what's coming up in the English summer, of which the main feature is against India. And I'll be talking about that next month. But Big series. Looking at Sri Lanka first. So probably a bit more to say about the English. Just about Sri Lanka. Look, obviously the middle order of the batting card is extremely strong. I think Sangakkara is arguably the best player in the world, certainly the best batsman in the world at the moment. Very complete player. Behind him, Joe Adina, who, by the way, has got 9,500 Test runs, which is not something you might expect necessarily. But yeah, he's absolutely right up there in terms of runs and still performing extremely well, albeit much better on his own tracks. And Samawera, again, good as a support batsman. Number five, but all three of those have got astronomical figures in recent times. And will be a challenge for England, even with their fairly strong bowling attack. Um, Apart from that, obviously critical for any Asian team in particular that goes to England is the performance of the openers. Um, in this case, Sri Lanka made a curious decision about a year ago to promote Tilakratne Dilshan into opener. They did have a guy named Warren Apura that was opening for them, and they've sort of given that away in favour of Dilshan. It doesn't seem like a natural fit. Certainly doesn't seem like a natural fit outside of Asia. When you're playing in Sri Lanka or India, you might be able to get away with pretty much anyone as opener. But um, but yeah, I'm not at all sure about that particular move. Dilshan had a huge 2009, but apart from that, in the last 4 years, he's averaged, or sorry, 5 years, he's averaged 36.11, regardless of where he bats. So, I mean, that's obviously not particularly good, particularly in the batting era that we find ourselves in. And yeah, I don't think that mixes very well with a place like England where the ball is going to move early on. Um, and Dilshan just frankly doesn't have the technique to cope with it. He's much better as a support batsman, pushing the ball around the field, running hard, and really giving his partner strike. I don't think he's going to have good judgment in terms of where his off stump is, and I think if he's forced to defend a lot, it's probably not going to work out very well against someone like Anderson. Um, as far as his partner, Purana Vitna, his score percentage at the moment is 25%. He's only making 50s one in every four innings. Again, critical up the top of the order. He's not that young. He's 29. He's only played 16 Test matches. This will be his first tour of England. So, first tours of England and Australia and South Africa are always very, very difficult for opening batsmen. And I don't expect that to be much different here. I think that's going to be a big key to this series because England's new ball attack is good. If you can get early shots at the triumvirate that we talked about earlier with Sangakkara and Javadena and Samawera, you're going to be able to get them out. I don't care how good they are. You're going to have shots at Sangakkara with a new ball, and they've got bowlers to exploit that. The other issue for Sri Lanka, and it's sort of a work in progress, is obviously life after Murali and what happens with their bowling attack. At the moment, it seems to be Harath seems to really be the most established member of that attack as the main slow bowler. He took 34 wickets a couple of years ago at 33, but it was 4.9 wickets a match, which is extremely high. So they'll be going to him a lot to try and get some wickets in particular out of him. They won't really be too fussy about how many runs they go for. 33 is probably a best case scenario for Herat, particularly again on these tracks. The new ball is a big question of concern, particularly with Malinga's retirement earlier last month. Kulasekara seems to be pretty much locked in. Kulasekara is one of the most old ball specialist fast bowlers out there. I mean, he really is just line and length. He's extremely slow for a Test class fast bowler, and I really don't think you can count any more than even 2 wickets a match from him. And that's why he was good with Malinga, who was so explosive and had that Yorker bouncer combo. But without that, the other options there are someone like Dilhara Fernando, and really, frankly, tried and not so true, tired perhaps is the word, options in Sri Lanka's new ball attack. So there are some concerns there. For England, I really want to talk about England a little bit now, but also next month when we talk about India. I have some questions, and one of those is obviously Collingwood is now gone. So who replaces Collingwood? The guy that was groomed for that for so long was Ian Morgan, who's been sort of middling and I guess frankly a bit of a disappointment in his one-day international appearances. And domestically he's doing okay, but not setting the world on fire. Um, I think England will need five bowlers against India, and I'm not normally a five bowler guy, but I do think that's going to be critical. And I think this is going to be an opportunity to maybe try that out. And the obvious player there is Tim Bresnan, who started the last couple of tests against Australia, and performed reasonably well. So I would expect him to also probably get a role in this series, probably batting at about 7 or 8, and bowling a few overs obviously as well. The other question, of course, is Tremlett, who performed unbelievably well in Australia. I was taking 5 wickets a match. I was doing so at about 23, and just looked amazing. Are they going to play him or Steve Finn, who was the big phenom? Stuart Broad's back is another area of concern. And the big question, again, I'll cover this more next month, is going to be England's play of slow bowling, which was obviously not tested in the slightest against the Australians, and will be big time against India. And they've got a bit of a trial run here. Sri Lanka will throw out certainly Herat, which we've talked about, and potentially Mendes. Now, Mendes has been pretty terrible, frankly, the last 2 years. He had obviously a very, very high-profile series against India, the Karen Ball, everyone was talking about, and performed very well there, but has been just a disaster since. He's not super young, he's 26, that's pretty young for a slow bowler, but his best performances are frankly against Bangladesh, against New Zealand and Pakistan, which are two, besides India, the two other teams that he's really faced at test level. And bearing in mind, those are two terrible batting cards historically in the last 5 or 6 years. He's got 9 wickets at 58.89 against New Zealand and Pakistan, and that's not good. And so if Mendes gets a start, I don't think it's likely. I think Sri Lanka will want to play 3 fast bowlers and Herat, but if they do, it'll obviously be very important for him, and it'll be a chance to see how England's players perform against slow bowling. Herat might not be fantastic, but he's certainly better than Xavier Doherty. So we'll see what happens there. And if they struggle against Herat, then that's going to be serious alarm bells, and it will probably force a change in their batting card for the series against India. Obviously Cook had an incredible series against Australia. We'll see if he can continue that. I suspect he won't be able to, though again, I don't think he'll be tested a great deal by Sri Lanka's bowlers here. Probably will see a tremendous Sangakkara innings. He's a tremendously skilled player. Probably see a good Jayawardene innings for that matter too. But ultimately, Anderson, Tremlett, Broad, potentially Bresnan, Finn, these kind of guys. It's a pretty good new ball bowling attack, particularly Anderson, who looks just a real veteran leader at this stage. Very smart bowler, and really is, as I mentioned, leader of the attack. And they should be able to, as I say, make those dents up the top of the order against Parana Vitana and against Dilshan, and then get a few shots fairly early at Sangakkara and Jodie, and they only need to knock them over a couple of times to win this series. So that's more or less my thoughts on this particular upcoming series. I think England will win it. It's a 2-test series, pardon me, and I think England probably will win both tests. I think if you do see an issue with the batting card, I think you might see a change. I think they might bring a spin specialist to come in at number 6, perhaps. There's a few decisions being made there, but I'll cover that more when we talk about India or England, which will be very exciting next month. So I hope you enjoy the series. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for more videos. All the very best. Thank you.